The howl of a wolf, a sound of danger, but also one of enduring fascination and mystique. Humans have always been drawn to wolves, and it's easy to see why. They're magnificent animals, powerful hunters, but also deeply intelligent with strong family ties. For this reason, cultures all over the world have myths of wolves and werewolves. Welcome to my Halloween special. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and let's explore werewolf myths around the world. Unlike vampires, which I covered in a video last October, it's hard to pinpoint one OG werewolf myth. Werewolf mythology is present pretty much everywhere on Earth. So for the ancient section of this video, I'm going to cover the werewolf in the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Proto-Indo-European Koryos, and the Nuri. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, when Gilgamesh rejects the goddess Ishtar, he does so on the grounds that she gets bored of and then ruins the lives of her lovers. One lover, a shepherd, she transformed into a wolf. Some scholars consider this unnamed man to be the first werewolf. However, the story seems more like the god/goddess turns a mortal lover into an animal-type story. These types of stories are abundant in Greco-Roman mythology, for instance. There's no reference in the Epic of Gilgamesh of the shepherd turning back into a man or into an intermediate wolfman form. Still, he may have inspired later werewolf myths. The Koryos were a hypothetical warband in Proto-Indo-European society. Proto-Indo-European cultures existed from approximately 6,400 to 3,500 BC. The Koryos were made up of young, unmarried men who left their villages to raid their enemies in the steppes of Eurasia. The ritual that made them men and sent them out into the world involved wearing only a wolf pelt. This coming-of-age ritual shows the reverence and fascination that ancient peoples had with wolves. This ritual may have also inspired werewolf mythology. As they raided, they spread the Koryos ritual, but we see similar rituals in disparate cultures all over the world. The Nuu-chah-nulth of Canada have similar traditions. In certain ceremonies, people dressed in wolfskins wearing carved wolf masks would invade the event and behave like wolves. They would quote-unquote kidnap young men who would then act as though possessed by wolf spirits. The older men of the tribe would rescue the young men and exorcise the wolf spirits from them in a kind of coming-of-age ritual. In this and the Koryos, we see a connection between boys coming of age and wolves. This idea is still seen in pop culture today with characters who become werewolves during their teen years. Lycanthropy is a metaphor for puberty, anyone? Up next is the Nuri. In 430 BC, the Greek historian Herodotus wrote his histories, and in it he has an entry on a group he calls the Nuri. He wrote that they were wizards, and once a year each of them transformed into a wolf for a few days, and then changed back into their human form. The Nuri were from Scythia in modern-day Russia. It's possible that he was misinterpreting a wolf ritual they practiced, similar to the Koryos, or even wolf pelt clothing. Regardless, this might be the oldest description of modern-style werewolves, that is, people with the power to turn into wolves and then back into humans. Now that we've learned about some of the world's oldest werewolves, let's look at some werewolf myths from around the world. Let's travel to Africa to learn about the were-hyena. Multiple cultures across Africa tell stories not of people who turned wolves, but hyenas. They go by many names and tend to be malevolent, often associated with death, and are killers of children. Many werewolves around the world have similar traits. Were-hyenas' transformation abilities tend to come from magic, similar to the Nuri. They are often magicians who are either born with their powers or learned them. This is in contrast to myths where they are separate races or where their powers come from deities. It also suggests a biological explanation. Perhaps were-hyenas are simply people born with the power to transform into hyenas, like mutants or something. Asia has many werewolf myths, but I want to talk about one of my favorites, the kitsune. Technically, they are not werewolves, but were-foxes. Hailing from Japan, the name kitsune means fox. There are similar myths about were-foxes in China, Korea, and other parts of Asia as well. There are many kinds of kitsune, and a wide variety of stories about them, but I want to focus on the stories of the kitsune who shift between human and fox, and or have intermediary human-fox forms. Unlike were-hyenas, kitsune are not a type of human. They are their own race. Kitsune are almost exclusively female, in contrast to the more male-dominated werewolf myths of other parts of the world. There are stories of kitsune marrying mortal men, even having children with them. Like the Nuu-chah-nulth wolf spirit possession, there are cases of fox spirit possession called kitsune suki. This also reminds me of clinical lycanthropy, a rare mental illness where the sufferer believes they are a wolf. Traveling to Asia, we have Cheeroonear. The name refers to both an individual mythological character and a type of creature. Both are monstrous dog-headed men, which calls to mind the modern-day cryptid Dogman. More on that later on in the video. They're also said to have a loose bag like a pelican hanging from their mouth and chin, which is unique, I guess. In one myth, Cheeroonear led a pack of 6 dogs and had a wife who was pregnant with his child. He stalked the outback, killing people until he was defeated along with his pack. His wife was cut in half, and a boy emerged from her upper half. He turned into a reptile and escaped the wrath of the villagers. I have several thoughts about this myth. Firstly, I wonder if his pack of dogs were dog people like him. Second, this story reminds me of Loki's family. Like Cheeroonear, Loki had shape-shifting children, including a reptilian child, Jormungandr. He also had 3 werewolf children, Fenrir, Vali, and Nari, depending on which version of the myth you read. And of course, his children were punished for his misdeeds, like Cheeroonear's unnamed son. In other tales, Cheeroonear are dog-headed men who kill humans in the outback. Returning to Europe, many of the classic werewolf myths emerged from here. Obviously, the traditional werewolf hails from Europe. The name comes from Old English and means man-wolf. Throughout medieval Europe, belief in werewolves, that is, people who can transform into wolves, often because of pagan or satanic power, appear all over the historical record. People were executed for being werewolves all the way into the 19th century. It is primarily from these beliefs that the pop culture werewolf emerges. The werewolf as a tragic figure under a curse also appears during this time. Lycanthropy is a disease spread via bite, seems to be a modern invention. If anyone knows of a myth where lycanthropy is spread through bite, please share in the comments. The same holds true for transforming during the full moon. In the Middle Ages, werewolves tended to transform by putting on wolf pelt garments, which calls to mind the Choreos ritual. There are 3 more unusual European werewolves I want to talk about here as well. In Scotland's Shetland Islands are the Wolvers, good werewolves unlike the werewolves that inspired pop culture. They are helpful and are a race of their own, like Kitsune. They're described as wolf-headed, similar to Cheeroonear. However, the myth might have been entirely invented by folklorist Jesse Saxby in 1930. Despite this, there have been some alleged sightings, and the description sounds very similar to the Dogman. Perhaps there really are wolf-headed people living on the Shetland Isles. Next is the Cainocephali, and relatedly, St. Christopher. Stay with me on this, I swear it will make sense. Cainocephali means dog-headed in Greek. They were an alleged tribe of dog-headed humans from Africa and India. Cainocephali appear in various ancient and medieval histories. Many ancient historians seemingly believe these dog-headed people truly existed. You can find many fascinating pieces of medieval artwork depicting them, often engaged in normal activities. Some of these images are on screen. St. Christopher, a Catholic saint, is often shown as dog-headed. His story is incredible, and if true, not only shows the depth of Jesus' love, but also the reality of other sentient races on Earth. The story goes that Christopher was originally a dog-headed cannibal who accepts Jesus and takes the new name Christopher, meaning bearing Christ. A variation on the tale says that he came from Africa, which just so happens to be one of the places the Cainocephali are said to live. It is also said that he may have been a giant. However, some have debunked this unbelievable story by claiming that all of this originated from a Byzantine mistranslation of the word Canaanite. He is a real Catholic saint and is widely venerated. Let me know in the comments if you think he was a cryptid saint. Moving to the Americas, let's talk about the Amarok. They are giant wolves from Inuit mythology who typically travel alone rather than in packs. They seem to have human-level intelligence. In one myth, an Amarok appears after a boy prays to the gods for strength. The Amarok pushes him to the ground and some bones fall out of him that the Amarok tells him were preventing him from becoming a strong warrior. In another story, a man kills an Amarok's cubs and she drags the man's soul out of him, killing him as a punishment. Amarok is very similar to Wahila, giant white wolves who are said to live in Canada's Nahanni Valley, which is a creepy place worthy of its own video. Interestingly, cryptozoologist Dale A. Drennan claimed that one Wahila encounter was mistaken for Bigfoot, which suggests bipedalism. It is unclear if Amarok is bipedal in the myths as well. They are also associated with the wolf god Amaguk. This is similar to the Kitsune's connection to the deity Inari. Amaguk is a trickster and shapeshifter able to take on a human or humanoid form. This also calls to mind Loki, a trickster god, and Fenrir, his wolf son. Now, I've barely scratched the surface of werewolf myths. There are so many myths about werewolves from all around the world. Someday, I'll make some more videos about werewolves. If you want to learn more about werewolves, one place that has a lot of info is werewolves.com. I definitely recommend checking out their timeline. But are werewolves relegated solely to myths of the past? Many cryptids of today might be werewolves. I'm going to discuss a couple here, but know that there are many more than the ones I talk about here. Dogman is probably the most well-known cryptid that may actually be a werewolf. Dogmen are bipedal dog or wolf people in the United States, particularly in the upper Midwest. There are many alleged sightings and photos. In Wisconsin, a wolfman has been sighted on Bray Road. The creature gained the name the Beast of Bray Road. Unlike the Dogman, this creature is specifically described as a bipedal wolfman. Further south in Mobile, Alabama, is the Wolf Woman of Mobile, a bipedal wolf woman. Alternatively, she's a feral person. There are many stories of feral people in Appalachia. Could they be werewolves? It's a fun thought. If you go out trick-or-treating or into the woods at night, watch out for werewolves.